The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
Oh, you know us. You know we're high on those Vancouver Canucks. Well, guess what? Pretty much every single betting prognosticator out there is higher on the Edmonton Oilers winning the Stanley Cup over the Vancouver Canucks. Well, guess what? We're going to break it down next. Vancouver Canucks, Edmonton Oilers. Who's winning the Cup first? Find out next here on Locked On Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
A happy hump day, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, co-host here of Locked On Canucks, and also a Canucks writer for Daily Hive Vancouver. Before we dive into the show, we got to thank you for tuning in to Locked On Canucks, because it is your team every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. If you haven't done so already, make sure you go subscribe or follow us for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Coming up on today's episode, it's the Canucks, it's the Oilers, the two hottest teams in the NHL. Which of these two teams has the better chance of winning the Stanley Cup? You know, we're going to give our unbiased take on the situation over the next 10 minutes or so here. I will also touch on the Allvin extension, and I might rip through my top 9 moments in terms of Allvin's tenure in Vancouver, the 9 things he's done to turn around this franchise. And then finally, you heard the brr, but we're going to end off on Goats of the Week from the Canuck performances last week. But before any of that, I got to introduce the GOAT in my eyes, and that is Kyle Bowen, my co-host. What's going on, brother?
You know the deal, okay? When Patrick Allvin and company are making their decisions in the next couple of weeks, maybe the next couple of days, if they're going to be buyers or not, if they're going to, sacrifice the long term for the short term. I didn't say that. Allvin said that. If they're going to be doing that, they're going to be watching this episode of Locked On Canucks, for real. Kyle Bowen, Trevor Beggs, doing this, still talking about our Stanley Cup dreams. Because why not, man? It's the biggest dream of life. The first dream of life. I can't wait to win a Stanley Cup. Do I need to pump the brakes? Maybe. And if that's the case, I'll let loose, right? Be emotional, be a fan on this episode of Locked On Canucks. Trevor Beggs, how are we going to start this, man? Where are you going to take me?
It's going to be a journey, man. No, it'll be a quick journey because, come on, it's Locked On Canucks, your team every day, 3 segments in 30-ish minutes. The Canucks versus the Oilers. I think right now the conversation is who has the better chance of winning the Stanley Cup. And part of the reason I wanted to bring it up is because, we shout out our friends at FanDuel. They might get another shout out on today's show. They have the Edmonton Oilers with the second best odds of winning the Stanley Cup. What? They have the Canucks with tied for 12th in terms of having the best odds to win the Stanley Cup. So, FanDuel is a bit extreme, especially if you're looking for value on the Canucks. There's some value there. But overall, like, you look at any betting prognosticator out there, pretty much everybody has the Edmonton Oilers as Stanley Cup favorites ahead of your Vancouver Canucks.
Wow,
again, I know they got McDavid.
It's experience in that all Albertan Angus beef, man. I'm telling you, man. Something's given, bro. Something's given, man. Are you serious? Okay, I get it. They got experience, but they also got disappointment. They also got pressure. You know what I'm saying?
Those things matter, but you got to look at it this way too, right? A lot of teams that eventually do win the cup usually got to go through some hurdles, right? There's the whole linear progression, the rebuilding. You get to the playoffs, you have some failures, and then you slowly get towards the top. Now, the Edmonton Oilers could just be having one of those seasons where they figured it out. And I mean, you look at their underlying profile. It's not just McDavid and Draisaitl necessarily. Like, there are other guys on the team pulling their weight now. And, I think this is a fascinating conversation as well, because the Oilers and Canucks, I see them as kind of neck and neck in terms of their cup odds.
Come on, man.
And you feel free to disagree with me. I know I'm on Locked On Canucks, home of the West Coast bias, but I also got to be real with the people as well. It's funny. You look at Money Puck right now, and they have this whole power rankings list where they take a bunch of numbers and throw them together. They have, surprise, the Carolina Hurricanes are the best cup odds, those analytic darlings. Then the Vancouver Canucks, then the Edmonton Oilers. Those are the top 3 teams in the NHL, according to Money Puck. Now, I think with the Oilers and Canucks, experience definitely plays into it. Again, even teams like the St. Louis Blues that won in 2019, like, that was a team that had made the playoffs consistently. Can you think of a team off the top of your head? There's teams that have gone to the cup final, but teams that have actually won the cup, without really having too much prior playoff experience.
Even those teams that like got to the cup final and lost, like they had cup experience. When you get to that point, I'm not gonna say like getting to the cup final is the ultimate goal, but it kind of is because the luckiest team at that point wins most of the time. It's hard, man. It's hard getting there.
I disagree with that to an extent. Like I think injuries play a factor for sure. Like you got to have good injury luck, but I find that usually the best team does win. Do you not find that with Stanley? Look at Vegas and Florida last year, right?
Come on, honest person, honest podcast. Come on, I was a part-time hockey watcher for the last 3 years. Okay, signed up for this, became your best friend again, went back to the full-time grind. So I'm gonna let you answer that. You're right. You're right. The best team wins the Stanley Cup. F the luck. Where were we? Oh yeah, the experience. Those things matter. Bro, you look at sports in general, you barely see a team with no playoff experience having like deep runs. It's I think it's like in the 5%, the 10%. If the Canucks pull it off this year, a lot of luck has to go their way, and also a lot of magic. A lot of magic, man. Again, I'm dreaming. I'm high on the Canucks. Look at my eyes. I'm high on the Canucks, okay? I'm dreaming of only the good things happening, and I admit it. A lot of things have to go their way. The hockey gods have to do this for the Vancouver Canucks to kind of push them over the top because, again, experience is a big thing. But another thing that this team does have to kind of replace that experience is a lot of depth. It's a lot of depth, man. And it's when I look at the Oilers roster and I look at the Vancouver Canucks, I'm looking at our pros in the bottom six and in like our defensemen in general, and I'm thinking, dude, this with Demko, it just leads to more success in my eyes.
Yeah, I think in terms of forward depth, no question, the Canucks have better forward depth. It's funny. There's some similar issues. Like I look at Evander Kane and I look at Andre Kuzmenko. You're looking at 2 second-line wingers who have really struggled this year. But overall, I mean, the quality of Edmonton's top 6 is pretty good. You got Hyman with a career year, Nugent Hopkins doing his thing, McDavid, Draisaitl. Look, those are 4 really good pieces. But then again, the Canucks got Pettersson, they got Miller, they got Besser. Those guys are really doing their thing as well. But it's really the bottom
Quinn
6,
Hughes.
right?
They got Quinn Hughes.
Yeah, I was looking at the forwards, but you're right. Quinn Hughes is a big difference maker,
Bro.
And Edmonton doesn't really have anyone like that. Although some Oilers fans might want to throw Evan Bouchard in the conversation, but those Oilers fans want to do it. Shut up. Evan Bouchard ain't Quinn Hughes. I don't care what the numbers say. Watch the games, man. Unbelievable.
Dude, Quinn Hughes is playing like Connor McDavid right now. He's playing like Cale Makar. You know how
you
used to always
like that take.
Well, I've always compared Cale Makar in the way it's not like play style, but it's the way they dominate, the way they possess the puck. Like when they're on the ice and they have the puck on their stick, everyone else is playing their game, including the players on their team, So I see the things that Quinn is doing this year, and I don't know. This is a scary thing to say. I don't think I'm being negative when saying this, but man, oh man, like he's taking a huge step this season. And again, I'm going to use the term magic, right? And then say this, like, is this the best version of Quinn Hughes? Because this is a remarkable Hall of Fame legacy, holy-ish type of season. Look at the stats. Look at the numbers. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're just personally, I think we're just getting to Quinn Hughes' prime.
Thank you.
Like,
I needed
knock
that.
on wood, as long as he stays healthy. I think you get. I think Hughes could have multiple 100-point seasons, to be honest. But
thank you.
Again, when you look at the Canucks and the
remember,
Oilers,
you're the guy. You're the guy. Sorry to cut you off, but you're the guy who said it before the season started. Quinn Hughes is going to put up 100 points. You said it like 3 times, man. That's the craziest take ever. The Canucks sucked, and you said that. Unreal.
I've got a lot of bad crazy takes, but that was a good one. But again, just for this season, and again, I think we're talking about this season, right? For the Stanley Cup watch. I mean, who knows what's going to happen after this season? I think the Canucks, their cup window's just opening. The Oilers are kind of in more so in cup or bust mode, I would call. Although Kyle, you might disagree with that take. But again, looking at these rosters, Edmonton's defense, I think, has been sneakily been really good. They've really improved under Chris the Knob. So again, their underlying profile too, like they're limiting chances. But here's one thing I like about the Canucks compared to the Oilers is the Canucks month by month this season have gotten better and better. I'm not necessarily talking about wins and losses, but look at their underlying profile through the month of January. They were, for so long, this team has been, we're going to capitalize on chances, but we're not going to win possession. Now they have elite finishers and they're one of the best possession teams in the NHL. The Edmonton Oilers right now, I know they've won 15 games in a row, which is incredible. And their numbers are pretty good. but a lot of it is goaltending luck, right? Stuart Skinner's been phenomenal. He's got rocking a save percentage of .953 in the month of January. That's going to come back down to earth at some point.
Ooh.
I mean, I think the defenses in my eyes are fairly even. I would give the Canucks the edge just because of Quinn Hughes. The forward depth, I would give the Canucks the edge, although I think you'd rather have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl on your team. And goaltending, I'd probably give the Canucks the edge too. So to me, when I look at which team is better set for a long playoff run, I think it's the Vancouver Canucks. No bias aside. Edmonton can win the cup on the backs of McDavid and Draisaitl if they get some depth scoring, if their defense holds, and if Stuart Skinner keeps playing above his head. But I would trust the Canucks right now to win the Stanley Cup.
I think what you're saying also is just like you're leaning into the floor, You're leaning into the floor, being a bit higher. Again, we're delusional, man. I love it, man. We ain't pumping the brakes. I know we're going to talk about Allvin too in a couple of minutes, right? He said a couple things alluding to the feeling around pumping the brakes, right? Maybe we're not getting Jake Gensel or Elias Lindholm. Maybe we're just getting, I don't know, like who have we gotten in the past? A Maxime Lapierre, Maybe it's those guys. So it's interesting, man. I got another take around that too, because if he goes the other way and actually does shoot for the Stars, then someone's leaving Vancouver. We'll talk about that in a couple of minutes, okay?
Yeah, we'll talk about that. On the other side, again, let us know in the comments whether you think we're delusional. Do you think the Canucks have a better chance this season of winning the Stanley Cup over the Edmonton Oilers? Are all the betting prognosticators wrong? FanDuel, Betway, whoever it is, man, are all these guys wrong right now?
Why are we telling our people every day to put $100 on the Vancouver Canucks to win the Stanley Cup? Because the odds are pretty good for a first place team that is getting better, that has a great goal differential, that has a great goaltender, that has one of the best players in hockey in Quinn Hughes, and then has Pettersson and Miller and best, Philip Roenick. Come
on, man. I'm a financial advisor. $100 a day that's just irresponsible.
No, not like $100 a day. But we're telling our listeners to do it. Remind them. Make sure you put that 100 on the Canucks.
Yeah. Hey, on FanDuel plus 2,200. So $100 would get you $2,200. So not a battle to pay out. The Canucks win the Stanley Cup. If the Canucks do win the Stanley Cup, one man they're going to thank is Patrick Allvin. We'll talk about the Allvin extension on the other side. And again, in my mind, I want to bring up some of the biggest reasons why Allvin has turned around the Vancouver Canucks. Before we get to that, I got to shout out Jace Medical. I know we come to sports to escape from some of the crazy realities of real life, but can we just talk for a minute about preparing for real life? According to the FDA, pharmacies are running out of antibiotics like amoxicillin right in the middle of one of the worst flu seasons in over a decade. This is scary. I can't imagine a more helpless feeling than if Kyle or one of the bros got sick while a supply chain issue kept them from the life-saving medication they needed. Got to protect the bros. And thankfully, Jace Medical does just that. They protect the bros and the sisters. The Jace case is a pack of 5 different antibiotics to treat a long list of bacterial illnesses, including UTIs, respiratory infections, sinusitis, skin infections, among others. This stuff could happen to you and even you. Visit jacemedical.com and complete your physician encounter. It will be reviewed by a board-certified physician, and your medications will be dispensed by a licensed pharmacy at a fraction of the regular cost. It's never been more important to be prepared than today. Go to jacemedical.com and use offer code LOCKEDON to get $20 off your first order. All right, before we get to Allvin talk on the other side, I got to shout out FanDuel. Happy Super Bowl to all those who celebrate from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. If you're like me, Super Bowl Sunday is all about scoring the best seat on the couch, grabbing your favorite football snacks, and placing some super bets. I don't know if this is a super bet, but I heard KC's an underdog. Man, oh man, I felt this way in the AFC Conference Championship. Anytime KC's an underdog, you probably got to sprinkle a few bucks on the Kansas City Chiefs. Also, F the 49ers. Whether you're betting on the Chiefs or the Niners, make sure you bet on FanDuel. They have so many ways for you to end the season with a W, including betting on which players will score a touchdown, how many points will be scored, and so much more. New customers, join today and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
We back on Locked On Canucks. My name is Kyle Bowen. That right there is Trevor Beggs. Doing the most, dreaming the most, being delusional, man. I like it, man. You got to be delusional, man, if you want the grandest things in life. You also got to think that this could be our year, because why not? Why not us? And Beggsy, man, again, you and I, 30 and a half years old. I'm not trying to get dark here. Again, Trevor's the darkest guy on the program, but you know what it is, man. We don't got many years left. So when we're in first place and our goal differential is good and we got a ton of all-stars, the sports fan in me is like, yo, we may have to win the cup this season. You know what I'm saying? I can't be dumb for saying that. I know they're the Canucks. They lack some experience, but all those other things are true too.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, look, I'm not like you. I'm not necessarily looking at the season as cup or bust, but I think the way that they've rocketed up to the top of the NHL, they should get nothing's easy in the NHL. We saw Seattle beat Colorado last year. Obviously, Florida was an 8 seed that went to the final. Nothing's easy. But when I look at the Canucks potentially being able to win the conference, they should win at least a round. So I think, to me, the bar for them is, really having a strong second round series, whether they win or lose. Obviously, we want them to win. But if they go 6 or 7 games in the second round and play their asses off, to me, that would constitute a successful season. Of course, you want to win the cup. I know you're going to throw out that loser mentality. Go on your rant, man. No. But to me, that would be a successful season for the Canucks.
It's not the loser mentality, man. I know you're small, but you don't got to think small, okay? Okay, if Patrick Allvin thinks big during the trade deadline, at the trade deadline, after he said a couple of his comments, and Beggsy's going to, read those comments that I'm alluding to, I'm telling you, man, because I don't know if I'm having nightmares. I don't know if I'm seeing things. Yo, I'm Kyle Bowen. I may be hearing things, but if Allvin goes all in and goes after a star and trades a first-round pick and maybe like next year's first-round pick too, brings in a couple of those guys, it's probably because A, he thinks the team is really good, and B, there's a 51% chance that Pettersson is leaving.
Ooh, I'm not putting that energy on the atmosphere. I've said time and time again on this show every day.
You can punch me, bro.
I fully believe. No, I don't. It's not really worth the punch.
You can slap me. Neck breaker. I don't care. You can break my neck after saying that. It's all good.
Maybe I would slap the negativity out of you, man.
Okay.
There you go, man. There you go.
Thank you. I needed that. Sorry.
But yeah, looking forward, I mean, I don't believe Pettersson's leaving, but certainly if they have more insight than I do, then yeah, maybe we do want to trade multiple first-round picks and go all in. But yeah, some interesting quotes from Allvin. Again, if you missed it, Allvin has now signed a 3-year extension with the Vancouver Canucks. And, he did talk a bit about the deadline, and he said a couple things are interesting. He said, quote, "I want to get into specific needs, but in general, we're looking at different areas and what's available. We all know you need to have depth down the stretch to be successful. So we'll see and act accordingly based on what's available." Now, I think what's available is a big part of it, right? You have so much parity in today's NHL. It does, in a sense, make it harder to buy at the deadline because there are maybe 23 or 22 teams that think they're in it, right? And there's 10 sellers. So, but we'll see. We'll see how they navigate it this time in their first year as a contender. Allvin also said you don't want to be a 1-year hit. Again, that's not a cup or bust quote right there. That's a quote of someone who wants this to be a successful franchise for a long, long time. Of course, every GM wants that, but sometimes your actions speak louder than your words as well. One other quote that I think I found interesting, and viewers and listeners might find interesting, Patrick Allvin said, quote, "I've got an aggressive boss that's on me every day, and I like that." Don't take that the wrong way, okay? I'm not writing the Allvin Rutherford erotic novel here, but
Athlete wants the cup. He wants the cup, man. This guy wants the cup, dude. Yo, okay, I'm gonna say this. I also think there's a chance that Allvin and Rutherford, based on skill alone, I'm putting a lot of eggs in their basket. I'm pumping their tires up a lot, but I feel as if the Canucks can do some major shopping while giving out the lease. Like there's still a chance of us being utterly shocked about what we got and what we gave up. Because I know it's been a while, but I think it's safe to say that these guys have a chance to be at the top of their class in their positions, across the league, president, GM right now, like they're skilled in their own regard. So a lot can go on. And I keep saying cup or bust. Again, I'll say it again. I am owning that. Again, first place, 50 games, goal differential is nice. The team is playing better. We're not getting lucky. We have a lot of stars. We have a lot of depth. As a sports fan, I don't know how I can love this team my whole life and not think it's the time now for me to turn on the, let's get to June. Let's get to June. Let's play some hockey in June for the 4th time in franchise history. Can't blame me. Now, if that doesn't happen, you think I'm going to get mad? Dude, I'm 30 and a half years old. I'm a wise man. I've read a couple of Deepak Chopra books in my life. You know how lucky we are right now? I'm not going to get mad, but I'm also going to lean into cup or bust because you're not always going to be first place. You're not always going to have 5 all-stars. You're not going to always have this team. We have a lot of UFAs, a lot of guys trying to make more millions, set up their future. How do you do that? You play more games. I'm leaning into that too, okay? Because it can all be true.
Oh, buddy, I love the energy you're bringing. And, again, I don't think Allvin thinks cup or bust, but as far as fans think cup or bust, feel however you want to feel, man. I'm not here to gatekeep your fandom. One thing I did want to bring up about Allvin was, I think there's been, again, he's only been here for 2 years, but there's been so many things that he's done to transform this franchise. I listed 9 reasons. I'm going to write about this for Daily Hive. But I'm going to shout out my top 3 reasons right now why Allvin has transformed the Vancouver Canucks. Number 3, choosing JT Miller over Bo Horvat. Number 2, choosing Tocchet over Bedard. And number 1, buying out Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Those are my top 3
move
things.
The shoulders, baby.
Let's go.
Move the shoulders, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Dude,
Yeah, buddy.
That's a hot list, man. That's a hot list. That's a sexy list, bro. Dude. That's crazy, man. Okay, let's get to these comments before we get to the end of the show. Man, oh man, you guys are just making me laugh in the comments. How about this, man? Bob Dobb. 2 managers, 1 cup. Why not us, man? Why not us, okay?
Sorry for those who had to go to therapy for that. I knew a few buddies that did, but anyways, it's another story.
Lowered expectations, okay? Trevor, okay, he's, again, he's a wise guy. He's looking at all angles. But if you really read in between the lines, he's also, I think you're kind of high like me, okay? I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, okay? You're doing a good job here being rational, but I see a little bit of irrationality in you as well, aka I see a future where you're already thinking of eating hot dogs with me, like shoving a ton of hot dogs in my mouth with you in June, watching Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals.
Oh, dude. Like I said, I really hope they make it to at least the conference finals because it's here. This is my fear. I've said on the show before. I'm going on a 2-week trip with my wife and the kids. Excited for this road trip with the family. But it's going to happen exactly when round 2 is going to be on. So if the Canucks make it to round 2, like you and me got to find a way to do this show, man. I got to find a way to watch the games while traveling and with 2 kids. But man, oh man, again, if they make it to the conference finals, I'll be locked in. We'll be watching every goddamn game together, bro. Let's wrap up the show on the other side. Haven't done it yet this week, but we will cover the Canucks GOATs from last week on the other side. But first, I got to shout out Factor. All right, we're in the new year, okay? You know what they say? New year, new you. Okay, well, that might not be true, but what you can do is eat a little healthier, okay? There's never a bad time to do that. And if you're looking to eat a little healthier, make sure you choose Factor, okay? Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success here in the new year. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including options like keto, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your New Year's resolutions. And you know what's great about Factor is you can skip the overpriced takeout trap, okay? Even for me, man, I don't know. We don't have any sponsors for Skip the Dishes or DoorDash. I'd rather go drive to the restaurant, go pay the restaurant the tip, rather than tip Skip the Dishes, man. Man, that's just me, though, man. That's just me. Sometimes I get lazy, But anyways,
you're a healthy guy, man. You're a good fan. You're a good dad. Like, again, if you're new to the show, Trevor goes into the forest. He hunts his own food. Like, thank you, man, for your service.
It's true, man. But make sure, again, with Factor, you can skip that overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. Get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door. They're ready and heat and eat in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. Hey, 2 minutes. That's one more than I need, baby. Guess see what I mean? Anyways, head to factormeals.com/LockedOnNHL50 and use code LockedOnNHL50 to get 50% off. That's code LockedOnNHL50 at factormeals.com/LockedOnNHL50 to get unbelievable 50% off. Go do it.
We back on Locked On Canucks. My name is Kyle Bowen. That right there is my homie Trevor Beggs, the family man, doing his thing. Subscribe, hit the like button. It's free and it really helps us out. Again, Valentine's Day coming up. Trevor, if you don't know, he's one of the most romantic guys in the world. He believes that you should be taking your girl out for dinner at least once a week. That's just the truth. And if you subscribe, there's a better chance that we can do that because Cactus Club, man, I think they're going to find out about us pretty soon, man. And if we could do a partnership with Cactus Club and take our girl out for free once a week to promote not just the show and the Canucks and some local-ish, but love in general, because love will heal us all. Bro, we're again, Beggsy, you and I, we're not bigger than the Canucks or hockey, but this is.
Let's go. That's Locked On Canucks, baby. Your team every day. All right, enough of the Cactus Club dreams, okay? Let's end with the GOATs of the week here on Locked On Canucks. All right, where's the GOAT, man? Do it for Council do. All right, so again, we did this last Tuesday, so only 2 games since then. Wednesday against St. Louis, Saturday against the Columbus Blue Jackets, and this might have been the easiest GOATs of the week I've ever done because neither goalie played great, and guess what? Only 5 Canucks even registered points in those 2 games. So I'm going to break it down. I'll go from 5 to 1 this week. At number 5, I have Elias Pettersson. Again, we know in St. Louis didn't play his best game. Rick Tocchet called him out, blah, blah, blah. But he bounced back with 2 goals, including the overtime winner against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Number 4, I had Quinn Hughes. Arguably the most steady Canuck last week in my eyes. Quinn Hughes, just so silky smooth, doing his thing. He's a nightmare if you're trying to defend this guy at the blue line. And he had, 3 assists on Sunday against Columbus? Unbelievable guy. Number 2, JT Miller. Again, just setup man, extreme last week. 4 assists in those 2 games. Leading the charge for the Vancouver Canucks. And numbers 2 and 1, it was the 2 guys who got hat tricks last week. Okay, I got Pius Suter at number 2. He had 3 goals and 5 points in 2 games. And at number 1, I have Brock Besser. Pretty sure it's his first spot at number 1 on our GOATs of the week. He had 3 goals and 3 assists in 6 games. Again, just an unreal game against the Blue Jackets with those 3 goals, and then sets up Pettersson for the overtime winner. Kyle, how about that for the GOATs this week?
I like it, man. I like the energy. Shout out to the Vancouver Canucks, first in the league, doing the most for us. And honestly, I want to dedicate the GOATs of the week to the people on this episode, okay? They're the real GOATs. Everyone watching this, liking it, just being here with us. I love them so much so that I know you got to go pretty soon. I'm going to answer some questions, okay? Because I've seen some comments. They're going to get me talking for like 5 to 10 minutes. But again, Trevor's a family man. You got to get back to work pretty soon. So you did a great job on GOATs of the week. Go Canucks, go. And Trevor, never give the Oilers that much credit again, okay? I let it slide today. But if you do that with me in person, it's going to be a problem, man.
We'll live stream the slap fight. I'll slap the negativity with Pettersson out of you, and you'll slap me for giving the Oilers any love. Look, I still said I picked the Canucks in the series. Let's be real, but I gotta be honest. I gotta break down for the people properly. Okay, Locked On Canucks, baby. Honest people, honest podcast. Your team every day.
West Coast bias. You could say bye to the people. I'm gonna read some of these comments, do my thing, and I love you, man. I love you.
Love you too, bro. And I love the listeners even more. Peace.
Okay. Trevor's gone. We're going to read some comments and get to talking, man, because I saw something up here, man. I wasn't happy about it, man. I think somebody's watching different hockey, you know? It's Fortsy Balls. Fortsy Balls? Is he trying to get me to... Is this a riddle? Anyways, he says that Quinn Hughes has flamed out already. He's had a great start, but not as of late. He hasn't been great. He hasn't been historic. I don't know what you're talking about, man. I know recently, like really recently, the Canucks have kind of struggled against the Blues, a middling team, and the Blue Jackets. This all being said, look at the third period of those games, man. Who were our best players? It was those guys at the All-Star break or at the All-Star game. And it was Quinn Hughes. Same thing with Pettersson, right? Struggling a little bit, but in the third period of hockey games recently, he's given us a lot. So I'm leaning into that. I don't think Quinn Hughes has been struggling as of late. I think there was a small stretch, maybe like 10 games ago, 14 games ago, where he was kind of whatever, but He's been pretty damn excellent this whole time. In fact, he's right up there with Kucherov, McKinnon, as for being the best players in hockey this season the whole way through. Remember, he is a defenseman. That's just the truth. Come on. How about this one? 2 managers, 1 cup again. I died in a good way. That was really funny. And, 2 managers, 1 cup. I know it's a joke, and one's a president and one's a GM. But I mentioned this off the top, man. A lot of star power, in the management group, okay? A lot of swagger. They may be the best in their class right now. They're feeling it. Past Stanley Cup champions. Maybe they're operating at like 93 overall right now, 95 overall. They're feeling it. And because of that, they're going to do some fleecing at this year's deadline. Just the truth. Again, I mentioned this, during the middle of the episode, and it's pretty dark. And maybe this is why I stuck around, because I'm trying to calm down here. I need to take a break too, okay? But I mentioned how if the Canucks do go all in this season, maybe it's an indication that they know that this may be their last year with Pettersson. Things happen. It is what it is, right? It may be Pettersson's last year. If they go all in, it would make sense to do so if that's the case. And if they go all in, they can recoup a lot of their assets for that long-term vision mixed in with the culture once they make a trade, right? Involving a guy who may not sign here, a really good player. It is what it is. I know I'm sounding dark, but maybe I'm more comfortable talking about it because I'm more secure in the fact that I don't think the Canucks are going to fumble the bag. I think they're going to be consistent, okay? They got the right people at the top. Again, Allvin signs a 3-year deal. Read the quotes. Read it yourself. Saying the right things. It's the All-Star break. I'm living in the moment. And I'm saying a lot of things, okay? Being delusional, we want the cup right now, blah, blah, blah. I know. At the bottom of my heart, I think Vancouver Canucks hockey is back. I think we're going to be here again talking about the same ish 12 months from now, whether we win it or not, because the standard is raising. And based on this year, I think it's going to be to the point where we're talking about the Stanley Cup again. Only. And that's where you want to be as a sports fan. That's where you want to be if you're a Vancouver Canucks fan, because we've been around for a long time. And we don't got a Stanley Cup. And I want one of those. Any more comments that I want to read? Callum Sandu. That's the guy, man. Somebody did mention that they want to see a live show in Surrey during the playoffs. Scott Road. 72nd, 120th. Got to do it for Surrey. Maybe there's a Cactus Club down the street. Just the truth. Anyways, that's all I got. Man, oh man. Kyle Bound, KYLEBHAWAN, doing the talking at the Don't Doze Art Lab. One love to the Locked On Podcast Network, doing the most. One love to Trevor Beggs, the family man. And I think somebody did allude to the fact that Trevor should ditch his wife and kids during the road trip that he's going on, where the Canucks may be playing in the second round, because the Canucks come first always. Look, man, I'm a fan first. I signed my soul to the fans yesterday, okay? Full-time fan. No matter what happens with the show, no matter what happens with the Vancouver Canucks, okay? I'm a fan first. Never a member of the media. I'm a fan first, and I'll always be there, okay? Whether Trevor's not there, I'm going to be there. We're going to be talking about Locked On Canucks the whole way through, and we appreciate you, and you, and you, and you, and again, subscribe, hit the like button, shout to Locked On, have a good morning, a good afternoon, a good night. I don't know when you're listening to this, but hey, we appreciate it. Peace.
Your Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast.